Let's move on to the Northeast State, where we've got 4 games this week as conference play kicks off. DeKalb at New Haven, Columbia City at Belmont, Huntington North at East Noble, and Leo at Norwell. New Haven, off to a fantastic start this season. Maybe we underestimated them a little at the beginning, but they go down to Mississinawa, a quality program in 4A. They're down, they score late, they win the game. Brian Sexton has a fantastic game. J.C. Gardner has a big game. Kentrell Thomas has a big game. They're looking pretty good so far heading into Northeast State Conference play.
We thought New Haven may have been the third of the big three in the NE8 to start the season, but through the first 2 weeks, they look like the #1 dog right now. Now, it's difficult to really judge before we get into the conference season starting this week. At Leo will be a big test next week where we kind of figure out where everybody stands, but definitely New Haven through the first 2 weeks has been the most impressive team out of conference in the NE8.
When you take a look at Leo, how does Leo bounce back from a game? We talked about how we called Snyder was going to be pretty good, which I think everybody in the world did. Angola, my Hornets.
What can you say about Coach Thomas?
That's a good win for them, but for Leo, is that you don't ever want to lose a game, but is that a positive going into conference saying, man, you can't, not that they overlooked them, but they were up in the fourth quarter. You've got to have that step on their throat mentality to close out a game, because they haven't. It's concerning to me because they have a lot of players that have played a lot of football on both sides of the ball for Leo, and you want to have that killer instinct, especially at home. That's got to be a little bit troubling, but also something that can motivate this Leo team going forward.
Definitely. And Coach Souter, I'm sure, spun it where, look, it's not a conference loss. It's not a postseason loss. It's a learning experience. It doesn't cost us anything going forward. So with the NE8 kicking off this week, they have 0 losses just like everybody else. So the Angola game was a learning experience, a gut check kind of thing. But in terms of their long-term goals, conference and postseason, it didn't affect them at all. And who knows, they may see Angola again in the postseason.
And I'm intrigued to see East Noble because Andrew McCormick, Dylan Hunley, some of the guys that they've had in the past, they've put up video game stats.
Yeah.
And so far, you've got 18 points in a loss at Plymouth. And last week, they didn't crack 30 when they were playing Warsaw at home. So are we going to see an offensive explosion? Like it feels like it's time for Andrew McCormick to put up one of those 400-yard nights.
Yeah, you have to think so. And those first 2 weeks of the schedule were just very, very difficult for East Noble. And that's how Coach Hamstutz likes it. He really wants this team to be tested out of conference. They definitely were. And we'll see how that helps them going into the conference. So there are big games coming up later down the line. I think a lot of the top-tier teams are eased into the NE8 this week. A lot of games you look at and go, well, this should definitely go this way and that way. But going forward, you have to think those first 2 weeks pay dividends for the East Noble Knights.